Very recently, some of you got wind of a new certification, a project management office. And I've been getting a lot of emails, people asking, Phil, do you think this purchase of a PMO organization was a good idea? Do you think I should take this PMO certification? And for the next 40 minutes thereabouts, I'd like to share with you deep insights about the project management office. I would like for you to really take some time out to listen because I'm going to unpack so much information in the next few moments. But I want to give you my perspective. One of the certifications I hold is called the OPM3, Organizational Project Management Maturity Model, and it's from PMI. So my understanding of PMOs and my experience of PMOs is quite vast. I've worked for various PMO types, everywhere from a level 1, which I'll say is very elementary, all the way to level 5, which is everything. Tools like earned value, weekly board meetings with C-level and senior executives. So I have great insights as to what exactly makes for a great PMO. Remember, I've also worked with a lot of government entities and I've seen how their PMOs survive and some of the things they've done. And I've also worked with private firms who actually ditched the idea of the PMO in favor of communities of practice, COPs, and centers of excellence, COEs, and new, a lot of firms gravitating towards the concept of VDOs, value delivery offices. We also have a keen understanding of hybridization today, which means a consideration for agile and predictive, not just predictive. And that means the way we did things in traditional PMOs or the way things were done will not fly in 2024 and beyond. There has to be a consideration of the unique circumstance that each organization is going through. So I invite you to block out your calendar for almost an hour and let's journey into a lot of definitions of PMOs, my perspectives as to was PMI's purchase a good one? Or based on history, what we've seen from acquiring other firms and ditching what they already had in OPM3, what is the future likely to be? I'll also share with you my perspective of what I think you should be doing as a project manager. As someone who wants to get into the world of PMOs, I know certainly a certification is not what will save the day. What will save the day is an acute understanding of the humans going through the change that a PMO could bring. I'll also share with you my perspective as to whether I think that is the one-size-fits-all way forward. And all of the other certifications that have been around for decades, but not grown in PMI's catalog, we'll also be exploring what my perspective is on that. So without much ado, let's jump into this discussion. I call it PMO, to be or not to be. Welcome to this episode of Project Management Leadership. You've received an email probably about the new PMO certifications, prompting you to contemplate spending $900 or thereabouts or even more. Well, before you do that, listen to this episode in its entirety because I will be breaking down for you a lot of information. I am going to unpack so many pieces of information about PMOs, VDOs, COPs, COEs, and my experience in this domain, so you definitely want to bookmark this and come back to it. A project management office is a term that we hear as we prepare for professional project management exams. But what exactly is it? We can define a PMO as a centralized organizational unit responsible for overseeing the planning, execution, and control of projects in an organization. It serves as a strategic entity that enables people understand standards, methodologies, and best practices to ensure consistent and efficient project delivery across the organization. It's really all about efficiency. A robust PMO functions as a catalyst for project success by providing support, guidance, and resources to project managers and teams. Now, let me just say right off the bat, that definition sounds very specific to organizations employing predictive project management, because in the world of agile, we do not see the concept of PMOs being upheld. Instead, we might see something called a value delivery office. So keep that in mind, okay? Now, back to PMOs. PMOs are implemented in several phases to ensure alignment with organizational goals and culture. Let me give you a breakdown based on my perspective of how a PMO should be established and the recipe for creating a great PMO. Number one, in my mind, is always empathy. You need to meet people where they are by assessing the organization, understanding the past and the present, identifying areas that need improvement and determining the need for a PMO. And where there might be a need for a PMO, you are always approaching the decisions from an empathetic perspective. Empathy is number one, okay? Then from empathy, you get into the understanding of what needs to be done. And I call this the compassion state, because empathy is putting yourself in the people's shoes. Compassion is taking action to ensure that those concerns are implemented in the process. So that's number one. In everything you do, approach it with empathy and compassion. Whether you are assessing, whether you're planning, it has to be with compassion. Number two is then engaging the stakeholders, right? When you now come from a place of empathy and compassion, you can then more effectively engage your stakeholders by obtaining buy-in from senior management, by obtaining buy-in from whoever the key champion is for this initiative, right? And this involves communicating the benefits of the PMO and addressing the concerns. Number three is establishment of PMO functions. Once a PMO's objectives are defined, it's essential to establish core functions and services. This could include developing project management methodologies, providing project management training, facilitating resource allocation, creating project management tools. I'll give you a quick story. A student of mine said, "Phil, I've been tasked with a PMO and I don't have any documents. What should I do?" I remember you said there's some free templates. So I gave him a link. The link is tinyurl.com/Sigma PMO. He went over there and pillaged a whole lot of the templates and rebranded the templates with the company name. Anyway, he became a hero. He became a folklore hero of legend, and he got promotions. Because it's very important as you establish in PMOs, once you've done everything from the empathy and the engagement, and you're now into, okay, what tools are we going to use? You want to make sure that your tools are on point. You got to have tailored tools. And you could go to that link. It's still alive till today. Then we talk about resource allocation and staffing. Allocating resources, staffing the PMO with skilled professionals, that is crucial for its effectiveness. And PMO staff may include project managers, portfolio managers, analysts, support personnel, people like that with expertise in project management. And then we move into the area of standardization, standardizing project management processes and tools. And this is fundamental, right? So when you have a big bucket of tools, you got to make sure that they are somewhat standard for projects of a certain type. And this involves defining project management frameworks, templates, guidelines, and so on, becoming more specific about it. But at this point, you also want to bring in people for the discussions, bring in project managers who will be using those tools and make them part of the process. Number 6 would be performance measurement and improvement. This is very big in one of PMI's previous certifications that I obtained called the OPM3, Organizational Project Management Maturity. We're very big in understanding the key metrics, the KPIs, to measure the organization's project management performance. You want to do the same at the PMO level, right? Because PMOs could be departmental, they could be by business unit, they could be organization-wide. But whatever you do, make sure that the metrics do matter, right? regular performance reviews, feedback mechanisms. This helps at stage 6. Stage 7 is what we call change management and adoption. And honestly, the management of change is the biggest thing in any PMO implementation. In fact, I would encourage you, if you are looking to be a great PMO change leader, you might want to go to projectmanagementdoctor.com/change lead, because we're having a seminar that focuses on the core things that matter in any change management process. And this is no different. See, so change management, you have to approach it from a humanistic perspective. Otherwise, your PMO implementation will fail each and every time. I've seen this across the board. I've seen this in Fortune 500s. I've seen these in smaller companies. If there is no change management leadership, that implementation will fail. So managing organizational change and fostering adoption of PMO processes and methods is crucial for success. And that's why my step 1 was empathy, because that is what matters. It's not about the tools. It's not about the processes. You could have all that. But if you do not approach it from a humanistic perspective with consideration for the people going through the change, it will fail. Okay? So, based on what I've shared with you, my friends, this is the recipe. I'm sharing this with you so that if you're looking to implement a PMO right off the bat, you will hit the ground running with these tips and tricks before we talk further about certifications that have been made recently available. Okay? So based on what I just shared, the recipe for a great PMO, number 1 is focus on people and culture. No matter how great a project manager you are, program manager, if you do not have a focus on people and culture, your PMO implementation will fail. So you want to emphasize the importance of human interactions, leadership, change management skills within the PMO. Okay, if you're setting up a PMO, you got to get your people trained in leadership, humanistic ideas. All of this will help the longevity of the PMO. You need to cultivate a collaborative and supportive culture that encourages innovation and continuous improvement. You also need to focus on alignment with organizational goals. Ensure that the PMO's objectives and initiatives are closely aligned with the organization's strategic priorities and business objectives. This alignment enhances the PMO's relevance and contributions to overall organizational success. Focus also on flexibility and adaptability. Recognize the dynamic nature of projects and adapt PMO processes and methodologies accordingly. Strive for flexibility in project management approaches to accommodate changing project requirements and environments. If you have a PMO that's just a stick in the mud, it has to be predictive all the way, that PMO will fail. There has to be considerations for agile. That needs to be first and foremost. That needs to be discussed because the PMO itself needs to be flexible and adaptable. Not only should they uphold agile practices in their projects, they should be agile themselves. Number 4, as far as the recipe for a great PMO, is continuous learning and development. You got to invest in the ongoing learning and development of PMO staff to keep pace with the evolving project management practices and technologies. Encourage certification in project management, professional development opportunities to enhance skills and capabilities. These skills need to be more humanistic. They need to be more leadership, more team-driven, because you can have the best of project managers in a PMO, but if they're not working together, that PMO will fail. Number 5, focus on value delivery. The focus of PMOs needs to be on value delivery. Even the PMI have emphasized this in their publication. So, focus on value by emphasizing outcomes and benefits realization. Ensure that PMO initiatives contribute to tangible business value and ROI. The summary of what I've said for this first half is a great PMO is characterized by its ability to come from an empathetic standpoint, aligning with organizational goals, providing valuable support and guidance, not in a draconian way, but in a servant leadership way to project managers and teams to drive continuous improvement, to drive excellence in project delivery and outcomes by focusing on people, culture, alignment, flexibility, learning, ownership, and understanding that for the PMO to survive, you need to be more humanistic in your approach, understanding the way change works, going through the stages of change that happen mentally, and bringing people along for the ride, not shoving them into the subway, but inviting them to come along for the ride. See, so it's very important through any PMO implementation to always put people first. Okay, now let's move into the certification, because I know that's why a lot of you are listening this far. So thank you for listening to how to get a great PMO. Now you understand what it entails. Now we can talk about the certification. Okay, so the primary beneficiaries of this new PMO certification are individuals aspiring to secure roles within a project management office. This is very distinct from traditional project management positions. Now, for some years, I was a project manager, and then I began to realize that there were PMO roles, such as being a PMO officer, such as either upholding the framework of an existing PMO or introducing a new PMO. And I started going for those positions. So if your ambition leads towards becoming a consultant, specializing in project management office development, then you may find some value pursuing this. However, it's essential to acknowledge that success in this field relies heavily on practical experience and a nuanced understanding of operational peculiarities in each organization. I know this firsthand because I've helped scores of entities, government side, private side, implement ideas for their project management offices. And I've trained thousands of project managers that are already in PMOs. So my extensive tenure as a project management office consultant has illuminated that the true essence of proficiency in this domain often transcends what you'd find in PMBOK guides or a textbook. And therefore, if you are really interested in this area, seeking mentorship and practical guidance from a seasoned professional such as myself may prove to be more beneficial than solely relying on certification credentials. Because you could get all the certifications in PMO and you could still be inept in the people piece, in the leadership piece. You see, emphasizing human dynamics and pragmatic understanding over mere certification, I will stress the importance of focusing on the intricacies of project management consultancy. It's not about the certifications you have. When rubber meets road, it's how well do you relate with a client? How well do you relate with the stakeholders that need to go through the process of PMO development? It's not about the certification, I must say. It's not about the tools and the techniques, no. It's about the leadership. So while certification may hold merit, it should not overshadow the significance of cultivating interpersonal skills and a keen understanding of organizational dynamics. Now, I know what you're waiting to hear. So, Phil, will you go for the certification? Well, I won't go for the certification because in the past I have pursued a certification that is all-encompassing of projects, programs, and portfolios from the PMI. It's called the OPM3. So I already have been developed in the understanding of how to implement these. But beyond the OPM3, I have also gone through a lot of coaching in the world of Agile from my mentor, Roy. So I understand the way things work in today's world is pretty different, okay? Now, the decision to pursue a PMO certification in your world may be different from mine. And I would say it warrants thorough contemplation, considering its alignment with your professional goals and the broader landscape of project management consultancy. You see, very recently, a graduate, Claudia, a friend of mine from my Praizion PMP Academy, raised the question regarding PMI's recent acquisition of PMO organizations. And my immediate response was, I don't know, let me stew on that for a little bit, because I perceive PMOs to be gradually diminishing in prominence within certain organizational contexts. The traditional concept of a project management office is increasingly perceived as outdated and, in some cases, obsolete. Organizations are pivoting towards alternative models such as communities of practices, COPs, centers of excellence, COEs, and value delivery offices, VDOs. The PMI even talk about this in the Agile Practice Guide. So many organizations are shifting away from the conventional PMO framework, and this is making the landscape very different from what it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, right? So, given this evolving landscape, I would question the wisdom behind any organization's acquisition of a purely PMO organization. In my view, there exists a pressing need for PMI to redirect its focus towards revitalizing certifications that have fallen out of favor. Now, some of these might shock you, but this is my perspective, right? Some of those that have fallen out of favor are the ACP. The ACP should definitely by now be 500,000 at least certification strength in terms of people. It's weak. You can also see the other certifications from PMI are, I hate to say it, but equally weak, like the SP, the RMP, the PGMP, the PFMP. They are fundamentally weak. And they are weak because they have not been given enough strengthening and enough reform. People will gravitate to where they find value and where the price is right. So if people are not gravitating towards that, it's either the certification does not add value, and I know these certifications do add value, or the price may not be right. So I would recommend, my perspective would be take a revenue cut on those certifications as opposed to acquiring another organization and presenting more certifications to an already flooded market with a lot of valueless certifications. Because the value of a certification lies in the job boards. Go to the job boards and check out the big kahunas in the world of project management. You'll find them. If a certification has no demand in the marketplace, and there are very few people on a world level that have acquired it, then it tells you there's probably no sense in doing that. So, my recommendation for any project manager would be to focus more on what gives you value at a much more profound stage, which would be leadership and interaction and change management. Again, for those of you that are keen on learning the humanistic perspectives of change, you want to go to projectmanagementdoctor.com/change lead, because I truly believe that can help you. I'm not here just to say, hey, I don't think this is a good idea, and then I don't provide solutions. So I am providing you ideas and solutions that can help you move beyond just having a certification. Let me be honest, I've got over 12 different certifications. A certification is only as valuable as the demand in the marketplace or the skills it gives you. Let me ask you this. What skills have your recent certifications given you that you truly know? If you're able to put a finger on it, then they are valuable to you. If not, then probably are not. Furthermore, I want to emphasize the importance of providing project managers with necessary tools and resources in a manner that fosters voluntary participation and inclusivity. So rather than an imposing PMO that gives rigid frameworks, my stance underscores the need for adaptability and agility in navigating the evolving landscape of project management. Now, Reflecting on the considerable price tag attached to this certification, which ranges from $990 to $1,390, I anticipate it may deter many prospective candidates, particularly given the existing complaints regarding the cost associated with PMP exam fees. Moreover, upon introspection of my journey as a project manager, it became apparent that investing in this certification may not represent a prudent use of resources, not just for me, but for many individuals. A cursory glance at the job boards, as I said, reveals a prevailing demand for experience rather than certifications, specifically tailored to project management office roles. The market tends to prioritize credentials like the PMP or some other PMI certifications like the PGMP, in some rare instances, over any specialized PMO certifications. Why? Because there is none. Historically, certifications like the PGMP have failed to gain widespread traction, mirroring the projected trajectory of these other certifications. When you take a look at the growth of the PGMP, the PFMP, you can see that the future may not be very bright for these. You also take a look at, in my mind, I hate to say it, failed DA franchise, because it has not gained enough traction. It's not on the job boards. There's no demand. You can tell. You can tell. So, in today's landscape of project management, characterized by the convergence, the marrying of the worlds of agile and predictive, organizational efficiency takes precedence over adherence to specific certification criteria. The emphasis lies on optimizing project management processes rather than merely acquiring certification credentials. Optimization should be key. And consequently, I harbor reservations about the future of this certification, of these certifications, however many they end up being. Right? I really expect the trajectory to be very similar. Now, given these considerations, what I am advocating is a shift in focus towards cultivating leadership skills and fostering personal growth as project leaders. You may find it very strange, but what I gave in the beginning of this talk is what I believe will help at least 50% of project managers succeed in any PMO implementation. It was very brief. I think I gave you about 3 minutes of tips, but the tips I gave you in the beginning, if you take those coupled with the link that I gave you for where you can actually find templates and tools, and by the way, AI does that for you. I've published a number of books on AI recently. I published one on project managers and AI for project managers, and in that book I show you how to prompt the tool to create artifacts for you. Artifacts is really nothing difficult anymore for project managers to generate, because AI tools do it for you, and I have an entire book. You can find it on Amazon, Artificial Intelligence for Project Managers. So that piece about templates is off the table when it comes to PMOs. The most important thing about PMOs, I told you in the very beginning, how to implement these PMOs. And then the next thing I would recommend is becoming very proficient in what exactly leadership is, and change leadership in particular. So rather than fixating on certifications, project managers tend to benefit more from honing their leadership acumen, expanding their portfolio in project management. Ultimately, success in this field hinges on individual abilities to navigate interpersonal interactions that drive meaningful change, transcending the confines of conventional processes and tools. Drawing from my experience with organizations grappling with the efficacy of project management offices, it becomes very evident that not all PMOs are created equal. Many lack the requisite organizational coherence and fail to function as true facilitators of project management. Rather than serving as dynamic enablers, they often devolve into these scary, bureaucratic, draconian, check-the-box, impeding type organizations, rather than facilitating progress. It is sad to say, I remember as far back as 2012, I went into an organization and I recommended, hey, what about a project management office? And they said, Phil, no, doesn't work. The PMO will fail. And it was as a result of an experience they had. This is a company out in Georgia, true story. So, when it comes to PMOs, people first. Now, beyond PMOs, there are many other structures, many other organizations that are aimed at advancing the practice of project management. And I want to share some of those with you right now. Firstly, we have COPs, Community of Practice. The Community of Practice is an informal group that comprises individuals sharing a common interest, expertise, or goal. Collaboratively, they gather to exchange knowledge. They learn from each other and collectively solve challenges. Communities of practice operate in a decentralized manner with a focus on mutual support and knowledge sharing across various subgroups. Next, we encounter the Center of Excellence, COEs. And this is a formal assembly. It's more formal than a COP. The Center of Excellence is comprised of experts renowned for their deep knowledge in a specific domain. I've been fortunate enough to work with organizations that are both into the world of COEs and COPs. COEs strive to enhance and standardize practices within their area of expertise. They serve as custodians of best practices, providing training, resources, and guidance to fellow members of the organization. Unlike hierarchical structures, centers of excellence foster a collaborative environment that may sometimes uphold the idea of supportive interactions as opposed to other carrot and stick alternatives. So you can say that a center of excellence is more theory-minded than a lot of PMOs, to be honest. Because what they do, they ditch the idea of punitive measures and penalizing like some PMOs do for more supportive interactions. So through support and humanistic ideas, they still arrive at the result of excellence. Okay. So let's move on and talk again about the PMO. We just talked about PMOs quite a bit, but we could say they're a centralized entity tasked with overseeing the planning, execution, and control of projects within an organization. PMOs establish standards and methodologies for project management, offering resources, training, and performance tracking to project managers. Their primary objective is to ensure consistent and efficient project delivery. Last but not least, we'll talk about VDOs. This is also mentioned in the Agile Practice Guide, and it's also known as a Value Management Office. This relatively new concept in the idea of Agile and Lean focuses on optimizing the flow of value delivered by the organization. VDOs align projects and initiatives with strategic goals, emphasizing delivery of valuable tangible outputs to customers. And it could also be intangible value as well. Now, while they collaborate closely with PMOs, VDOs prioritize overall value delivery over mere project execution. They are hyper-focused on value. So, let me give you a few examples from my real world. How the concept of PMOs is evolving within many organizations, exemplified by a company I'll refer to as Company X. Rather than adhering to traditional PMO structures, Company X has transitioned into a more inclusive and expansive model known as a Center of Excellence. This project management Center of Excellence has thrived over the past 5 to 6 years, attracting numerous certified project managers and project management enthusiasts who collectively uphold excellence in project management practices. In stark contrast to the conventional PMO approach, where a centralized body dictates work methodologies, the Center of Excellence distributes responsibilities across certified project managers throughout the organization. This fosters a collaborative ethos where individuals support each other's professional growth and collectively enhance project outcomes. The Center of Excellence operates on a voluntary basis, which is similar to a non-profit organization in my mind, emphasizing participatory engagement and a shared commitment to quality improvement. While acknowledging the potential value of PMOs rooted in an inclusive philosophy, I caution against those characterized by rigid control mechanisms that stifle innovation and autonomy. If you are going for a PMO and you say, yeah, Phil, I understand that COEs exist, but my company says it has to be a PMO, just understand that a draconian PMO will run the risk of being perceived as an impediment rather than an enabler. So you don't want that, okay? The other firm that I've been fortunate to work with is Company Y, and they chose a community of practice idea. The community of practice is totally decentralized, and we have people operating in this organizational arrangement merely based on volunteering and mini projects, if you will, which they run in sprints, believe it or not, in sprints. It's very agile, and they do this in cycles by running many projects to bolster and uphold the organization, to look for weak areas of improvement, and they run many projects to strengthen the firm or the business unit in that area, and they rotate. So they do this in maybe 4 sprints and then move on to the next one, like that. So there are many ways to uphold organizational excellence. It does not always have to be a PMO. Having had the opportunity to collaborate with diverse organizations employing these various models, I've observed the emergence of alternative structures such as the ones I've discussed. So my advice to you before you embark on any certification is to tread very carefully, to tread introspectively. You see, in my project management office experience, having authored a forthcoming book on that dedicated to the subject, my experience spans many firms, even beyond Firm X and Y that I mentioned, where I've encountered PMOs ranging all the way from what I would call a level 1 to a level 5, right? Talking about the intensity and rigor. Some organizations fall short of reaching level 5. Some are perceived as extremely controlling, even though they're not all the way level 5. And what I mean by level 5 is all the way to the point that we are upholding the standard with penalties, and the standards are complex, going into areas such as earned value management to the letter. But you don't need a level 5 type of PMO or entity to succeed. What you do need is to embrace the principles outlined in the Agile Manifesto. And this emphasizes individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So I urge, again, a deeper focus into change management. Success in PMOs hinges on sustaining the vision and adapting to change. I've witnessed instances where adept project managers have leveraged PMOs to achieve significant career advancements, underscoring the importance of understanding human psychology and possessing a wealth of project management artifacts. So, back to the question, should I pursue a PMO certification? My personal stance is against it. I believe the value it offers does not surpass what can be gained from emphasizing humanistic ideas, leadership, change management, understanding people philosophies, understanding project artifacts, and human psychology. I've already explained that in the past I attained PMI's OPM3, Organizational Project Management Maturity Model. It was like a three-headed beast. We had to do 3 exams. We had an exam on program management, one on project and portfolio management, and one on the actual system that the PMI had developed for assessing PMOs and project management organizations and the organization as a whole. I think discontinuing with that certification, unfortunately, was a misstep by PMI at the time. This was way back. I'm talking about maybe like 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I think it was a big mistake. But instead of pursuing PMO certifications, again, I would advocate for investing time in understanding organizational structures, such as value delivery offices, as I mentioned earlier, COPs, COEs, also studying about PMOs, just by virtue of what is out there. I think by focusing on psychology and tailoring approaches to meet organizational needs, one can better address the evolving demands of project management. Because business is changing, tides are changing. While some organizations may benefit from a PMO, the ultimate success of such endeavors lies in understanding and navigating the intricacies of human psychology. I'll just be honest straight up. What I've seen as successful in organizations is when people are given an option to join. So if you understand McClellan's theory, you understand what people are motivated by. People are motivated by the need for affiliation. And just being part of a COE or COP is a big deal in the minds of people. They want to belong. So when you put up a structure where they are part of, where they have that sense of belonging, also going back to Maslow's theory, people want those lower levels of the pyramid to be met before the higher levels. One of the lower levels is that love or belonging. What do you think that COE or COP does for people? There's that belonging. And people's perspective is, oh, I belong. I got to be there for the team. I got to be there for my people. And that's why you get stellar output. You get people creating some mind-blowing artifacts. You get people taking on tasks of training scores of people to get certified. Within the organization, they're doing this voluntarily. They're not being coerced, So keep that in mind. Now, I've talked quite a lot about alternative organization types, but I want to bring some perspective and balance. Because I know some organizations have invested so much in PMOs, they ain't no going back. So I understand that. Now, while there's no singular source, various studies and reports offer valuable insights into the potential benefits and impacts of PMOs. So here's a breakdown. Firstly, there's improved project success rates when done well. Not all PMOs are draconian. Not all PMOs fail. Some PMOs are done very well. And research indicates a positive correlation between effective PMOs and increased project success rates. Reports such as those from PMI's Pulse of the Profession highlight that organizations with mature PMOs tend to achieve higher project success rates compared with the less developed ones. Now, in my mind, a developed PMO is one that understands the people piece of the business, which is paramount. Secondly, PMOs could result in enhanced efficiency and cost savings when done the right way. They can streamline project execution, they could standardize processes and optimize resource allocation, and this streamlining potentially leads to improved efficiency, reduced costs, and better project outcomes overall. PMOs could play a vital role in strategic alignment, ensuring the projects align with organizational strategy. By offering a centralized view of project activities and priorities, PMOs could help focus resources on initiatives that deliver the most value to the organization. But it's critical to hone in on these little nuances that I explained earlier. Implementation is key. The effectiveness of a PMO heavily depends on how well it's implemented and integrated into the organization's culture and structure. A poorly designed PMO, my friends, it can generate bureaucratic hurdles, it could hinder innovation, and it can stir up bad blood. So tread carefully if you are implementing a PMO. Always put people and culture and structure into the mix. Secondly, measuring PMO success requires defining relevant metrics. So beware of the metrics you choose. The PMI covered this well in the PMO Guide 7th edition. When it comes to measurement and metrics, it could be a very slippery slope. So proceed with care. Metrics such as project success rates, on-time delivery, cost savings achieved through PMO interventions are essential for assessing performance. I also want to make it clear that PMOs, although valuable, are not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's not a universal solution. Building a robust project management culture, fostering effective communication, and investing in skilled project managers is critical for project success. So if you have a great PMO but crummy project managers, you're not going to get very far, which is why it goes hand in hand, the PMO and people development, the PMO and team development. In conclusion, project management offices have the potential to significantly enhance project outcomes when strategically implemented and aligned with organizational goals. However, their success relies very heavily on careful planning, effective execution, and continuous improvement. As for my personal preference, based on experience, based on having my ear down to the marketplace, I prioritize focusing on perfecting leadership, perfecting change management, and communication skills, alongside achieving excellence in hybrid project management. Because the world is changing. It's not always predictive. It's not always projects. We also need to think from a value angle, from a benefits angle, from an agile angle. It's not all predictive. And therefore, hybrid project management becomes very important, and understanding how to navigate that terrain in any organization as well. For those keen on implementing effective project management excellence solutions, seeking guidance from a seasoned coach with hands-on experience is highly recommended, and that's why I set up PMOnonymous.com to help those project managers who are stuck. Maybe you've been tasked with implementing a PMO. Maybe you do not have that hand-holding from someone who has been there, done that. Go on down to PMOnonymous.com. You don't have to struggle alone. PMOnonymous.com. If you're seeking to learn more about change management, go on down to projectmanagementdoctor.com/change lead. And if you have any questions or insights, feel free to share them. But I really want to make it clear, if you really want to succeed in any structure, you got to put people first. You got to come with compassion, a mindset of empathy, and you have a much better chance of success. Thank you for joining me today, and all the very best as you decide what is best for your career. Well, there you have it, my unbridled and unfiltered opinion. I am curious to know, those of you who are thinking of taking the certification, stay in touch and let me know how your journey was. After you do get certified, I'd like for you to report back to this page and share with me any insights. It is my belief that regardless what you decide to do, the PMI will support you in your goals of project management, office implementation, or development. It's also my hope and belief that they will provide ample opportunities for you to test out whatever you learn from the PMI. They're usually good in that. So I want you to understand that what I've shared today is my unfiltered, unbridled opinion about what I think project managers should do, but that is not to say that I don't support what you choose to do. Again, I want to make it clear for those of you who are looking to implement a PMO, bring about the ideas of a project management office, and you want to do so at low cost, go back to the beginning and listen to what I shared as the key tenets for a successful PMO. And then when you're looking for tools to implement, just remember, it's not the most important thing, but I would love to refer you to a link from a PMO that has helped the world by putting itself out there and giving us access to so many tools and techniques, templates of project management. I want to give a huge shout out to the great people at the PMO for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Their PMO is the epitome of servant leadership, whether they defined it as that or not, because it gives so many project managers unfiltered access to tons of templates and tools. Again, individuals and interactions over processes and tools, but nonetheless, I think this will help some people who are stuck in finding great tools to use on their projects or in their PMO. So going down to this link, I'm going to blow it up on the screen. And that link is tinyurl.com/Sigma PMO. Feel free to put it in just as that. And this will give you access to over 50 splendid tools that you could begin using today. You don't even need to use them in a PMO. You could use them on your project, whether you belong to a PMO or not. So these are just great tools that project managers have found value from, everything from business cases to project charters, the whole 9 yards. You just take a look. So this is from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So if you're ever looking to set up a PMO and you are at a loss for documentation, or you don't know how to utilize AI to create templates for you, well, this is a great repository. I have recommended it over the years, and in the story I just told you, actually it was 2 of my mentees who pilfered and pillaged, for lack of a better word. I mean, it's free, so why not just get the most from it? And that's what they did, and they implemented these in their organizations. They received huge bonuses and acknowledgments. So PMO development is many things. First of all, come with empathy, come with compassion, understand the organizational culture, begin to customize and tailor the tools, give great insights and training and understanding to the people before you begin to roll. And if you're already in motion, keep training, developing the people, help them to synergize, to become the best teams that they could be and the best individuals that they could be. If you're looking for training and coaching, because I know some of you are like, well, Phil, what do I do? I've been told to implement this PMO. I would recommend going over to Project Managers Anonymous, Managers Anonymous. And for short, you can just say PMAnonymous.com. So go to PM Anonymous. I'm going to put that on the screen here so that you've got that bookmark as well. You know, we have AA for people struggling in other things, but we have PM Anonymous for those people who are looking to get great in their PMO implementations and other things. There it is, PMAnonymous.com. And it's your one-stop shop for any kind of coaching, development, training in the world of PMO development, project management, you know, whatever you're looking for, this can definitely help you. PMAnonymous.com. All right. Well, that's it, my friends, for what we have here today. Thank you for joining me. bookmark, hit like, subscribe, because there'll be more information. I actually have an entire book on PMOs, and I am contemplating releasing that on this channel for free so that those of you who want to learn more and grow can actually get more information at no cost. All right, so thank you very much. I look forward to having more dialogue with you on this channel. Take care. Bye for now.